Well, Maoist Rebel News fans, today is the 6th anniversary of this show. That means I'm entering the 6th year of bringing news, commentary, analysis, theory, teachings of the Marxist perspective to YouTube. So it means that I spent half a decade doing this. Half a decade just trying to educate people, to give an alternative, a communist point of view to things. And at this point, it makes me kind of stop and think back about everything that I've done, everything that I've been through for the last 5 years, going into the 6th year of it. One of the things that strikes me the most is the utter insistence upon people who are on the communist left who refuse to defend the DPRK from lies. True, North Korea is not socialist, it's not what we would like it to be. But what it does have is the potential to go back to it. What it does have is the right to be defended from imperialist aggression. When I go out and I show how a particular lie against the DPRK is false, it's used even by many leftists as declaiming that, you know, why are you defending this? You know, you're crazy, what have you, you call you brainwashed, or what have you. The reason I do it is because when you can get away with making such absurd claims about anyone, that's used as a justification for further hostilities against the country. A lot of the people who said that I shouldn't be defending the DPRK from outright lies were very, very quick to jump up and defend Syria from lies. Syria is not a socialist country, so why bother jumping to that? Why jump to their defense? To defend them from imperialism. How many times did we hear the claim that they had used chemical weapons, and that big whole investigation the UN carried out which shows that, oh look, the actual chemical weapon came from a rebel-held area. And it was the rebels being paid for by the US, NATO, and other countries who actually did it. And then when that was determined, mysteriously the media just stopped talking about it. But how many of those people who shouted the loudest to defend Syria turn around and attack me for doing the same thing with the DPRK? I don't think that's right. I've given a lot, even sacrificed a lot of my reputation for defending the DPRK. Reputation that I've lost for no good reason. Why is not a victim of imperialism, particularly one with a tremendous revolutionary history as the DPRK, not worth defending? To a large degree, you couldn't even call Cuba socialist anymore. Does that mean all of a sudden we have to jump on some kind of F-Cuba bandwagon? And these same people aren't going to do that. I think it comes down to this. They see the lies and they believe them. And not just do they believe them, they want to believe them. People who shouldn't be believing them are doing it. And that drags us into this whole circular logic when it comes to the DPRK. I go, this claim is stupid, it has nothing to back it up, why are you believing it? Because they're crazy. Well, how do you know they're crazy? Because they do all these crazy things. Well, that's my point, there's nothing backing up these crazy things. So how do you know these crazy things are true? Because they're crazy. And how do we know they're crazy? Because they do all these crazy things. It never ceases to amaze me how people who stand there and criticize, rightfully, creationists for doing this kind of thing, to arguing against religious fundamentalists for doing the exact same thing. Yet they turn around and do it to the DPRK. And then when you call them out on it, they just say, oh, you're brainwashed, you're fooled. But yet, when they point out religious people or creationists using circular logic, how do the creationists respond? Oh, you're brainwashed by the devil. You've been convinced, you've been tricked. It's the same bloody thing. All I've ever really done is try to get as much truthful information out about the DPRK as possible. And more importantly, remove the particular context in which it's being presented. There is a narrative that's always being given to us, and that's the imperialist narrative. That's what I've tried to break through and give the truth. And a lot of people have tried to do that. They have tried to trip me up with that. Think about back to the whole thing with Skepti, where he showed the video of the person being publicly executed. Interesting to note is the translation at the bottom, which means the guy was being executed for sneaking women out of the country. Can you think of anyone or any profession that might sneak only women out of the country? Sex trafficker? Yeah, I mean, screw sex traffickers. They should be shot in the head. They should be publicly executed. Sorry, I'm not more liberal and, accommodating for that kind of thing, but no, seriously, fuck sex traffickers. And yet there's a repeated attack with this over and over and over again, that no matter how many times they bring up something like this, oh look, it's poor, there's hungry people. It's a third world country. Of course there's hungry people, of course there's starving people. It's a fucking third world country. You can find it 10 times worse, 100 times worse, all through capitalist Africa. But do these people even ever mention that? No. The amount of health care that the DPRK has managed to give to people despite overwhelming sanctions against the country, blocking of the necessary access to credit. The fact that it's even managed to do all this in the position that it's in is nothing short of miraculous, and something it would be literally impossible for capitalism to do. Capitalism cannot live in isolation. It is by its very nature a constantly expanding phenomenon. And yet we get reduced to it just being something that afflicts the DPRK. The healthcare system in North Korea is the envy of the third world. They wish they could have something that good. They could if they socialized it, but they don't. And all of this is because the DPRK itself doesn't allow itself to be occupied by the U.S., does not allow foreign capital to dominate it. And it would like to differentiate between a special economic zone and economic domination. In a special economic zone, labor power is being used. They don't actually own a lot of the capital controlling assets within the country. That is what Cuba is open to doing now, allowing foreign capital to own inside the country. But that would be the difference between letting somebody have a special economic zone and letting somebody actually come in and purchase capital and own land and whatnot. And all I've ever really done is stand firm in my position that the DPRK needs to be defended. No, it's not perfect. Juche is an application of Marxism-Leninism. Frankly, it's not a very good one. But in a loose sense, it can be listed as that. I've outright stated that I'm opposed to Songan, or at least that a time when you would need Songan is over, and that it would be a time to return to Juche, or hopefully, a more Marxist philosophy. But all I've ever done was stand in defense of a country that was being victimized, probably worse than anyone else, by imperialism. And if that's something a supposed anti-imperialist can't understand, then they need to take a look at themselves in the mirror and decide if they really are anti-imperialists themselves, because they're not. And I say that mostly to people who are Hojists. And don't even get me started on the whole subject of Enver Hoxha. You don't get to take a whole country, a whole people, and throw them under a bus just because you disagree with some of their line. You don't get to call for them to be destroyed or to ignore them or to actually prop up the lies used against them just because you're too busy being a dogmatic revisionist, too busy complaining about any theory presented by a Marxist of color. Just simply defending the DPRK from imperialism is rather important, given that they're such a tremendous victim of it. And if that's something another Marxist can't understand, or something another so-called anti-imperialist can't understand, then I feel sorry for you. And perhaps you need to stop calling yourself an anti-imperialist. And also at this time, I take more of a look back to everything that I've done with this channel. And I've done far more than I ever thought I could. I had originally declared that it was impossible for me to get partnership, and then I ended up getting it. And then I said, you know what, I want to write a book. Now, a lot of people in their lives want to write a book, and it's not an easy thing to do. It's hard. And one day, I plugged away at it, and I plugged away at it, and I got it. It wasn't particularly good. It wasn't particularly long. I think it was 98 pages. It was a refutation of Trevor Luton's argument that Barack Obama was a communist. And if anybody could disprove his evidence, he'd give them $1 million. By the way, Mr. Luton, I'm still waiting for my money. But from there, I expanded even further. I tried to do even better. Create bigger books that were even better. The next one was a collage of different writings that I've had. And then the one after that, I went into my own past, digging through a lot of the stuff that I went through as a security guard. It was a semi-biography about a particular period in my life, which was actually was intensely personal. And then I went even farther, and I discussed the dialectics, particularly ones that refer to Mao's writings. Very introductory. It's nothing tremendously deep, but it's enough to get somebody off the ground and get a better understanding of it, and hopefully make it easier for them to understand. Then I started expanding even more things, and more things. All of it with the specific intention of bringing these ideas to people in a way that they'll be able to understand. Marx writes in a very, very complex way, the way a lot of people in his day wrote. And that is the only thing I've tried to do, is bring these ideas to people. Except that one utopian capitalism, a refutation of some of the modern libertarian ideas, Bitcoin, 3D printing, etc. That one I'm still working on. That has proven to be a lot more complicated than I thought it was going to be. It's mostly done. It's just that I hit a block where I couldn't write anymore on it, and it's been like a year since I wrote anything. I did just recently add another chapter to it. I still have to finish the one that I was working on, and then do the next one, and then it'll be finished. In the meantime, I began another book, Global Capital. Basically, imperialism, global capital from a Maoist third worldist perspective. And then there's, of course, the Fallout book, which, by the way, is now complete. I haven't made the official video announcing that it's complete, but it is complete. Actually, might as well announce it now. This would be it. This would be the book. This one I'm actually particularly proud of, because this takes basically the Fallout series of games and uses the events, the characters and whatnot in the game to teach Marxist theory. Now, for some reason, a lot of people, because haters gonna hate, were ridiculing me for having written this, or for having previously produced those videos on Fallout, teaching Marxist theory. Lol, this loser made like an hour and 40-minute video about Caesar's Legion. an hour and 40 minutes of Marxist education put in a form that's going to be able to hold people's attention. I mean, this is the internet. I mean, it's YouTube. The average attention span of the average YouTuber is that of a gnat. YouTube even recommends that you keep your videos under 3 minutes. But you can't do much in 3 minutes, other than a short bit of comedy or whatever the hell it is PewDiePie is supposed to be. Because I honestly can't figure it out. But the whole purpose of this book, and many of the other books, was just to teach people Marxist theory. You take something people know, and you apply Marxist theory to it in order to get the sugar to help make the medicine go down, as it were. This takes Marxist theory and makes it easier for people to understand. And frankly, I don't know why other Marxists are pissed off at that. Why would they be angry at someone coming up with a way to help people learn? Again, we return to haters gonna hate. And I think that's really unjustified in this situation. Well, you want to not like me? Fine, go ahead. I don't give a shit. But to really bash somebody's effort to try to teach people Marxist theory is actually pretty goddamn sad. It's pretty pathetic in my view. Because the only thing I have ever tried to do here was to educate people. And this, I think, is a very, very effective manner in doing so. And screw you if you don't like it. You might as well consider yourself reactionary if you don't like the idea. But again, it brings me back to everything that I've done with this channel, and it makes me think about what are the possibilities for the future. In my opinion right now, other than producing even more books, I've hit the limit of where I can go with this channel. Because given the fact that this is essentially, my audience is a niche market, it's a broadcast for Marxists, and that is a small contingent of the population. So in that sense, I've actually gone as far as I can go with this. I can possibly do it better, but it's not going to get any bigger. I've gone as far as I can go with this. I've done the best that I can to educate people with this, and I haven't always done it very well. I've outright fucked it up sometimes. Outright fucked up what I was doing here sometimes by allowing myself to get dragged down into petty, pathetic drama, whether it be people who just hated me for being here, or even former friends that threw me under the bus to promote themselves in their own group. But regardless of everything that has ever happened to me, every constant attack by right-wing nutjobs, whatever, I have remained here constantly, doing what I do best, informing people of things and putting things in a Marxist perspective. And I have continually, successfully done that. Now, going into the 6th year. A lot of these people that are running around bashing me now, 5 years ago, they were sitting there in friggin' high school, fucking playing with themselves, trying to figure out all kinds of things about themselves, some of them even learning to read, while I've been out here all these years doing this. And frankly, I don't think I deserve anywhere near the amount of shit that I actually get. But I digress. I don't really know where to go from here. For anything else, I would just have to get a bigger audience, and from a Marxist perspective, you're not going to get an audience that big. By the way, Russia Today, answer my calls. I'm trying to get a show with you. So, I have to come up with something that would take me on to the next level, or at least bring this broadcast into a new strata, a new level that I can possibly expand into. And frankly, I don't know what that is. One thing I want to acknowledge is that I haven't always done the right thing. There have been times where I let things get completely out of control and drag me down into miserable, horrible situations. One of those was the way I reacted to a criticism, and frankly, I think an idiotic criticism made of me, coming out claiming that I was homophobic, with ironically very little, if anything, to back it up, considering that I have always come out in defense of the homosexual rights, and that I myself am a sexual minority. And I handled it in a terrible, terrible manner. I lost my temper. I flipped out, rather than handling it like an adult, like I should. And since then, I've suffered unending slanders against me because I handled it improperly. People like Gregory Lucero, people like the RSCC Maoists, people like the tank commander Daniel Sullivan went on to call me all kinds of things, being homophobic and supposedly sexist, although ironically the whole sexist thing having nothing to back it up. And what made it even more infuriating was to find out later that both Gregory Lucero and Daniel Sullivan were defenders of the rapes, or people who were actively engaged in covering up the rapes that happened in their party. But it was my fault for not handling it right. What I didn't appreciate was some little nobody who doesn't like what I do, flipping out and making up all these accusations against me, and then in the end providing nothing to back them up. And my mistake was not handling it the way I should have. I should have said, "I'm sorry you're offended, but you're not going to tell me what to do, and you are a liar." I didn't do it right. And my reaction was, I think, actually worse than what it is I was accused of doing. And yeah, I fucked up. I let my temper get the better of me, and I flipped out. I'm an emotional person, but I should have known better. It's just symptomatic of being in this position where you're the one whose face is out there, whose words are out there, and the ones being attacked. That's a very easy thing for all these other groups who all hide behind the internet. People like the RCP Canada, who claim to be doing people's war, yet they do absolutely no such thing. They're just a blog, and they don't actually engage in people's war. They're just a couple of college students, university students, who hide behind the internet, who make slanders without even ever showing their own face. The same goes for a lot of the RSCC Maoists. And it goes for a lot of people. But that's the price you pay when you're the one whose face is out there and you're the one who's talking. And that is my fault for not handling it properly. I should have been the adult in this situation and handled it like a man. I didn't. And to you, my audience, I apologize. To the people who support me, I apologize. Because I should have done it properly, and I didn't. I stand firm in my resolve not to turn into some kind of social justice warrior. And when I use the term social justice warrior, I mean some whiny liberal shit on the internet that begs for concessions from the bourgeois. I don't want that. I want the abolishment of the bourgeois. I don't want a better world. I want a whole new world that is better. That is what Marxists fight for. A whole new world with all forms of oppression gone. Not begging for some kind of concessions from the ruling class. That's not how I work, and that's not how we're supposed to work. So to those people I actually did offend, I'm sorry. It was not my intent to offend anyone. but I stand firm in my position. And I'm sorry to you, my audience, and a lot of the drama that happened to a lot of people that I know because of it. I apologize to you. How about you most of all? I'm fully willing to admit that I've made mistakes. In fact, I'd say I've probably made quite a few mistakes. But that's the price you pay for being the person out here who's actually speaking. I'm the face, I'm the voice, because I'm the one who got up every day and did it. I'm the one who got up, turned on the camera, and talked. Something that very few people are actually willing to do. I give much respect for Scottish Socialist. We've both been doing it for a long time. I give a lot of respect to Red Scare TV. He's just recently started doing it. But when you're in this position, and both of them have learned by now, when you're the one whose voice and face is out there, you're the one who's going to get attacked. And I've stood here through every single horrible, ridiculous accusation that has nothing to back it up whatsoever. I've been accused of being transphobic based on literally nothing. And a lot of it made worse by a member of RAIN who produced a particular comic, claiming the same thing, also without backing up, and being a former friend who knew it wasn't true. If anybody who actually knows me knows that I'm friends with Unruhe Harel. I hope I said that right. You remember the transgender Maoist from Occupy Wall Street? That's one of my friends. If I was transphobic, would I really be friends with such people? And I don't mean that in the, oh, I have a transphobic friend, so therefore I can't be transphobic. Because they wouldn't be my friend. I've made previous videos defending the rights of trans people. What's the problem? I haven't done anything. This has been done by opportunists that have wanted to cut me down. And the reason they were able to do so was because I got angry, didn't watch my mouth, and flew off the handle. I gave them that power. I allowed them to do that because I lost control. And for that, to you, my audience, I apologize. I should be better than that. I am better than that. I didn't spend all these years trying to educate the public, all these years trying to get this Marxist message out, just to have it ruined by someone who doesn't like me. I couldn't count the number of times that someone has sent me a message saying I was their first introduction to Marxism. Before me, some of them had never even heard of it. Some of them had such a terrible view of communism, most of them being Americans. The vast majority of my audience is American. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud to be able to say that a lot of people have come to me and said I was their first exposure to communism. I remember way back in about 2011 or somewhat, I had a guy message me saying that he was a former white supremacist who has dumped the whole ideology and wants to do right. So he asked me for more information. Now at the time, I actually forwarded him to Kasama Project because I thought that was a better place for him. He was an older guy, I think in his 40s, and he was finally deprogramming all the white supremacist thinking that was coming out of him. But for the life of me, I can't remember his name. That was quite a while ago. And if he's watching this video right now, I'm glad you made that change. And I'm glad that I could help you, at least pointing you in a better direction. But none of that is an excuse for the way I behaved. I am better than that. I have proven that I'm better than that. Thus, I should act like that. So my statement to you is, I am sorry to you, my audience. To my enemies, you will never bring me down. I have never gone out specifically as the enemy of anyone. Since day one, I came in simply trying to educate people. I didn't ally with this party or ally with that party or bash this party or bash that party, because that wasn't what I was here to do. I was here to bring information. I was here to bring ideas. I was here to bring news from a Marxist perspective. My job wasn't to take sides. But then I get criticized for not doing that. And by these criticisms saying that I am ultra-individualistic for not having joined a party. And I think that criticism is wrong. Because as a Maoist, aren't we supposed to put politics in command? If I genuinely don't like the political line of a party, why should I join it? A lot of parties have been eliminated right away. I did speak to the Communist Party of Canada, but they have an anti-Mao stance, and well, I kind of can't go with that. The Marxist-Leninist Party of Canada, I couldn't tell you anything about them. I don't know anything about them. I haven't been able to get in touch with them. And then being a Maoist third worldist, that kind of reduces me to, well, very few organizations. So what's the point here? If I was going to join anybody, it would be the LLCO. But I don't agree fully with their line. I think their line on some things are wrong. And it should be politics in command. Not people who go around accusing other people of hyper-individualism because I won't join them. Or maybe it's just a personal attack. So I think I've made the choice that I think is right. I'm going to put politics in command. Not identity politics in command like one group. I'm going to put politics in command. And for the time being, until there's a group that I feel that represents the line that I think is right, I'm going to remain here. Politics isn't fashion. You don't just find something fashionable one day, pick it up, use it, and then one day you just pick up something else because that's the trend now. That's not Maoism. That's not Marxism. Marxism is a science, is the science of revolution and change. It is not fashion. It is a science. And that's the problem a lot of people make. I don't jump bandwagon just because somebody's friends did. I don't jump a bandwagon just because of an opportunity. I have always said that I speak for myself, and that I don't speak for a party, because I don't see a party that's right for me to join. And that's not out of some hyper-individualism, but because I've put politics in command, and I don't see one that's right. So until that time, that maybe one day there is a party, I'm going to keep being who I am. That's one of the reasons why I'm not a part of the Korean Friendship Association. Because I don't entirely agree with what it is that they do. I don't entirely agree with their positions on certain things. And that's why I'm not a member of them, even though I am a known heavy DPRK supporter. But until the time comes where I can do something greater, I'm going to remain right here. I'm going to continue educating people in Marxism, the thing that I have done since day one, the thing that I am good at. And hopefully in the future I can bring you some kind of self-styled documentaries, maybe more reviews of certain things in order to better educate people in Marxism. But who really knows what the future holds? But before I end this video on my 6-year anniversary, I just want to say to those of my fans that I did offend, I'm sorry. And I didn't handle everything the best I could have, the way I should have. To you, I apologize. And to those of you who like this channel, who watch it regularly and support what I do, I thank you for your support. And I hope many of you, if not all of you, continue to watch me in the years to come. Thank you. If you like this video and you'd like to see more of them, then head over to my Patreon page and show your support. Or you can go to the MRN bookstore and check out some of the latest books available. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe, and share on various social media.